Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Lenord Le Hanie here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as I did preparing it for you. Today, the subject is armed attacks, in rural or urban settlements. And that is what we are faced with in South Africa. First, let me and John Wayne welcome you to my cowboy coffee. I hope you're going to make yourself one as soon as you get up, or even whilst you're up. It's today Sunday morning 4:30, 17 October. The weatherman predicts a cool sunny day, so I hope the weather stay intact as much as I hope for it to remain that way. Most probably the day would have had a few hours under the belt by the time you watch this video. I've drawn an analogy in the mindset of a special forces soldier and that of a civilian when they suffer a brutal armed attack. There's no pat answer to what you should do and how you're going to respond. But the better you're prepared, the better you'll be able to handle and deal with such a dire situation. Irrespective of their race or the number of the attackers, you've got to get your mindset to deal with this brutal assault. In order to assist you to develop the mindset of some attributions a special forces soldier has, there's little to no comparison to that of the civic environment, except for the mindset. You should accumulate your observations during the attack, the assault, and even before it. The better you prepare yourself, or getting prepared by all means possible, the better you'll be able to deal with such a situation. It's all about flipping the negatives into positives when it happens. And that will give you the ability to survive and not to succumb to fear, which we will deal with shortly. Ask yourself what needs to be done and how are you going to deal with it. Picture a war, for instance. Normally it's about the death, the killing, the brutal activities going on during such a war. And although I know it's very, very difficult to picture it, it's one of the things a normal human being, like us citizens, doesn't do anymore. When disaster strikes, havoc reigns, and we've got to deal with it. We need to be proactive and get resilient as much and as best as we could become. For that, we need to plan and to budget your own safety. Whether it's an electric fence, safety doors and gates, CCTV cameras, whatever, get that plan and budget in place and start implementing it. Implement it means gaining momentum, because after you've done the one thing, the second and the third will follow soon. and you will gain confidence on what you've done and what you've attained. The main objective in this life is to survive. To survive not only brutal effects, brutal attacks, but to survive whatever life is throwing at us. It's about survival and taking responsibility in order to protect ourselves, our dearest selves, our families. We are complicated humans, and we have to deal with complications in our daily lives. We need to handle them physically, cognitive, and emotionally. Use your brain. You've got it 24/7 with you. The brain is a physical organ, and within the brain, you've got a mind with a mindset. And wherever you are at home, even whilst driving, you can create a scenario, practice it in your picture's memory, in your picture's mind, picture's skewed mind. Create situations for whatever situation you deem is possible to happen on your premises or in your close proximity, and practice it. Normally, contemplating a dire situation, there's emotions involved. Emotions within you. By contemplating it, you should acknowledge it. You need to process the information, and you need to execute whatever you've planned to do or contemplated to have done. Myself, having studied electrical engineering after my conscript years, January 84 till December 85, I've become a member of the South African Defence Force Reserve Force Complement. I've started to study electrical engineering at Vaal Triangle Technikon, today Vaal University of Technology. And I've created an analogy between the heavy current electrical environment and the mindset of a civilian. In conjunction with this mindset, a special forces soldier has. And number one is, we used to study a term, susceptance. Well, susceptance is using your imagination of current flow. Current flow through a conductor by means of a sine wave. And you see it like this happening, conducting itself in front of you. And that brings us to conductance. Conductance is when you're faced with the question, if it's real, it's measurable. How many attackers? How do they behave? How do they talk? What type of weapons do they have? And obvious. Are they serious? And most probably they are. And one of the questions is that these super soldiers, special forces soldiers, world-class MMA fighters for that instance, are they faced with fear? And yes, my friend, they are. It's the way they handle fear that distinguish them from the standard citizen. Us, who have been in the army, I myself, I took part in OP wallpaper in support of UNITA, we've got an idea of what fear is. Going into the war zone, living there at the brisk of a war, you can almost touch it. Perhaps not similar to that of a special forces soldier, but having done patrols and entering Angola, I've been myself in the headquarters of UNITA in Jamba, approximately 80 kilometers cross-border. So, although it was a long time ago, I've got a stint of fear, that type of fear, and the fighter's fear, who I've partaken in America, but none of that anymore. Conductancies, like I've said, if it's real, it's measurable. And yes, they have to deal with fear, the special forces soldier. Don't deny the existence of fear. Make it a companion. I will not say embrace it, because that's more or less getting emotionally involved with fear. But yes, it is an emotion anyway. Get accustomed to the environment which the attackers have entered or created. What else can you do? Enroll for training, shooting training, physical training, become more fit, join a self-defense system like Krav Maga. Keep in mind, MMA and box has one attacker, one sportsman opposite you. And that's the difference when you are faced with multiple attackers. Scenario is different, and they're armed. Create a contingency plan for your everyday life. Turn psychologically into the survivalist and not the aggressor like the special forces soldier does. Of course, you may end up dead. Imagine situations like I've said and rehearse them often. During an assault, a home invasion, an armed robbery, conduct yourself in a calm and constructive manner where you're able to think and have your rationale in place. I always say there's three major things going on. The one is the cognitive, the Einstein in us, doing the rational. The second one is the Margaret Thatcher, the emotional part of our brain. And the third one is the Rambo within you. Well, even a Rambo can take time to think before he just jumps in and have this gung-ho approach in which you can die. Remember, during this assault, it's not about killing the attackers. It is about survival. It's about saving lives. When in danger, it's always evil versus good. And I'm a good human. So are you. I didn't prepare this per se for myself. I've done it for you, my friend. For you to take leadership and ownership for your family and primarily for yourself. If an attacker surpasses a certain threshold of evil, he does not deserve to live. To live on this earth and to share a life on this earth with me or you in his close proximity. Like I've said, during my conscript 2 years, 18 months on the border, I've contemplated, I've dreamed about a life in Service Street. I've dreamed about a life where I could start studying whatever I would like to be or to become. I've dreamed about practicing a martial art like Taekwondo, in which I've become a grandmaster, and I'm proud of it. 35 years onwards, I can look back and say, yes, you've done it and you're still doing it until I die. I've dreamed about marriage and having children, and that is what we call life, the full circle, to saunter the circle of life. I also have, after I've completed my service, started studying, doing courses under the auspices of my employer. I had aspirations of further growth. And if you don't have that, you will die psychologically. Doing constant training, take ownership and responsibility for your life and your dearest, for yourself. You deserve a life of peace and harmony. Until we meet again. Au revoir. Nos vemos. Mooi loop.